If you're still using ChatGPT, then honestly, you're falling behind. In the past few months, there have been some insane AI platforms that have been released that honestly completely blow ChatGPT out of the water. Now in this video, I'm going to show you one of those called GenSpark. What I'm going to do exactly in this video is give you a tutorial, show you how it works, and walk you through some use cases that you can copy directly for yourself. Specifically, we're going to have a look at things like AI slides, AI developer, AI designer, AI sheets, or kind of like AI Google Sheets or Excel, and then even how to generate an AI podcast. There's a lot of other things that you can do with this tool, but these I think will highlight kind of the diverse capabilities, and then you can see for yourself how you want to use it and how you can get the most productivity out of it. So with that said, let's go over to the computer and let me show you how this works. All right, so I'm inside of the GenSpark workspace here, and I'm just gonna go over kind of a high level view of the UI and some of the features that it has, and then we'll get into those different use cases that I mentioned. Now you can access this by simply going to genspark.ai, or you can click the link in the description and get access to some free credits so you can evaluate the tool, because I did partner with GenSpark for this video. Now, a few things that you should know about this platform is that this was built by 30 people, which is not a lot, and in just 6 months, this business hit a $1 billion valuation, which is honestly ridiculous, even in Silicon Valley, and you're gonna see why in this video because of all of the capabilities that this has. Now, in terms of pricing, because I know a lot of you will ask that, this is $20 per month if you pay annually, or $25 per month if you pay on a monthly basis. And this replaces a significant amount of the AI tools that you probably already use. So you have access to GPT models, Gemini models, image and video generation models, etc., etc. Even as you can see on screen here, you have unlimited use of Nano Banana Pro, which a lot of people have been going on about recently. And you're gonna see why this is probably worth using, because it combines all of the tools that you probably pay for separately and have in different windows in one. Okay, so let's quickly go through the UI. First thing you'll notice is that this is kind of like the general agent view here. So you can just ask this something like you would ask ChatGPT, and then it can connect to various integrations. So I have it connected to my Gmail, Google Drive, Google Calendar, and Notion. And if you go here, you'll see there's a bunch of other ones you can connect to as well, like Slack, OneDrive, etc. You also can have all of these different MCP servers. You can see there is a ton, or you can add your own. Now, the interesting thing about GenSpark, at least in my opinion, is the use of the AI drive and kind of the hub or like workspace. So you'll see here that there's a huge list of files that I've been using within GenSpark that are automatically downloaded and saved for me. You can see it's actually organized them into folders. And what I like about this is that I don't need to just keep dragging and dropping different files and referencing stuff from my own Google Drive or my own file system. It all just gets stored directly inside of here. And I also can go to my hub and I can organize various different files into kind of separate hubs or workspaces. So if I'm working with coding, or if I'm working with my YouTube channel or legal, accounting, etc., I can keep that organized and then directly reference that inside of my chats. Lastly, we also have the AI inbox, which I think is a useful feature. I've just connected this to my DevLaunch email. So because of that, GenSpark will have direct access to the email. It will be able to see all of the different stuff that is coming in. It can reply to the emails directly. You guys get the idea. So I can even just reference a new email here, and I can use AI to generate that, of course. Okay, so let's go back here to home. I just want to quickly show you kind of the basic agent usage, and then we'll get into those different workflows that I mentioned. So first, I'm just going to say, can you read my recent emails and give me any action items? Okay, so let's go ahead and do that and see the response that we get. Okay, so you can see that after doing that, I was able to read through some of my emails and then came up with a task list. I don't want to show you the other ones because these are kind of personal and I can't really leak that information. But for example, you can see that I'm working on like 2 new YouTube videos, and I had a call with someone from ImageKit because it's a really cool kind of module that we're going to be using. And we were kind of talking about what we need to do in the timeline, action items, etc. So just quick kind of simple usage of SuperAgent. Of course, it can do a lot of other stuff, but wanted to show you that's like the most basic way you could use this platform. So now I want to start walking through that flow that I talked about before. What I'm going to do is go to plus, and then I'm going to go to AI slides. You'll see there's a bunch of other options here. Feel free to explore them on your own, but let's click on AI slides and see what we can generate here. Okay, so when we do that, it's going to bring up a bunch of different templates. If there's one that catches our eye, we can select that, and then we can just give this kind of a prompt on what we want it to create. So let me do that and let me show you a finished kind of presentation. All right, so what I've done here is I've taken a document that I had that is just a bunch of information about my dev launch program. And I've just told it, hey, create a PowerPoint slide for this. I dumped all of the data and then it started actually creating an outline for the document and then generating the slides using HTML and CSS. So it's pretty interesting the way that it does this. It actually writes code for every single slide with all of the custom styling, which allows it to make something really unique and not just follow kind of like a preset template. So you can see we have, dev launch, the 4-month career accelerator. All the slides are pretty unique and different, and we can kind of scroll through it and see everything that it's generated. Now, we also have all these different save points, so I can go back to previous stages. I can view the code, I can view the thinking, and then if I want to make any adjustments to this, I can by simply using some of the buttons that we have here, just directly talking inside of the chat. I also can save it to Notion, export it, etc. So for example, let's go with kind of AI edit here. Let's just press on polish content. When we do that, it's just going to automatically make this look a little bit nicer. But if we wanted to, like you saw, we could tell it directly the changes we wanted it to make. Okay, so it's in the middle of doing this optimization, and you can see that it now obviously looks a lot better. It's created some icons here. And I just wanted to show you that what it actually ends up doing is it takes a screenshot of the slide to see what it looks like, and then validates that this is what it was going for. And if it didn't get the correct result, then it regenerates it again. So you can see I'll take a screenshot of the enhanced visual presentation. It did that and then was, okay, yes, this looks good. We don't need to go any further. We're good to go. Okay, so that's it from the slides. Now, if I wanted to actually use this, I can simply export it. So I'll just go to the export button. From here, it actually brings me into another view where I can, of course, download as PDF, PowerPoint, Google Slides, but I also can just directly view the slides here and play them. So I can kind of have like this, what do you call it? I don't know, slideshow viewer directly in my browser, which I think is pretty interesting and is still on the GenSpark domain. Okay, so that's it for the AI slides. Let's go back here and now let's go and have a look at the AI developer, which I think for a lot of you will be a bit more interesting. Okay, so when you click into the AI developer, the first thing it's going to show you is a few different options in terms of what app you want to create. You can make a simple landing page, you can make a full stack app, you can use an existing GitHub project. In our case, I'm going to go with a full stack application. And actually what I want to create here is a language learning application that has accounts, progress tracking, lists of words, flashcards, and I want this to help me learn Bahasa Indonesia. Now, the reason for that is I'm currently in Indonesia. I'm actually in Bali, if you can tell by my kind of new background here. And I've been slowly kind of learning the language. It's a pretty easy one to learn. So I think that's an interesting enough and kind of small enough demo that we could build here. So I'll write it a quick prompt. I'll actually use SuperAgent to help me come up with the outline, and then we'll see what it can create for us. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Full stack app, start building, and go from there. All right, so it's been a few minutes here. You can see that this is the prompt that I ended up with. Again, what I did is I kind of just shared my thoughts on what I was looking for to SuperAgent and then created a much more detailed outline for me. I just dumped that here into the AI developer. And then a few prompts later, as I did a few small tweaks, it actually generated this entire website for us. Now from here, we can view all of the code, so I can directly go into any of the files. In this case, it's like with React and TypeScript, and I could adjust any of the code myself. So like I could actually write directly inside of here. I can connect it to GitHub. I can deploy it. I can publish it right on the site. And the interesting thing about this is that it really does lower the barrier to entry to getting something out quickly. So while this isn't going to be used for super large scale enterprise software, if you're just trying to create an MVP, a proof of concept, get something out fast, and also have all of the deployment handled for you, I find that this works extremely well. And then if you wanted to get a bit more complex, you can pull this down with GitHub, load it up in your own local IDE, and do more of the complex kind of work and integrations there. But in my case, I didn't really have to do any manual intervention. You can see that it's actually able to create the database. It's creating indexes for me. It can run NPM commands. It can seed the database. I was pretty impressed with what it was able to generate, again, with like 2 single prompts in about 15 minutes. So what we'll do is open up the finished website. We can see that it ended up naming this Bahasa Cards. What I can do is log in. So let me log into my account. Okay, and we can see that I've logged in here. We have some information on like our progress. So, words learned, due today, reviews today, etc. I can click into one of these different kind of decks, and then it will start showing me different words. So hello in Indonesian, that's hello. Okay, so I'm gonna go good. Yes, I knew that one. Selamat pagi, I think is like good morning or something. Yes, good morning. Okay, perfect. Let's mark that as easy. Selamat sayang, I'm not sure what that is. Maybe like good day or something. Good afternoon. Okay, I'm gonna go, I didn't know that one, so we'll do that one again later. And you get the idea, right? We kind of have flashcards popping up. We can see the progress. We can track all of the stuff that we've done. We can start our review, and we can also browse through various categories. So for example, I can view words related to like family. I can view words like for the greetings. And I know it seems pretty basic, but for 15 minutes to create this full application, have authentication, have an API, have a seeded database, have a full dashboard that works, and have practically no bugs, at least from what I can see right now, is pretty impressive. And if I wanted to spend some more time on this, I think I could create a pretty interesting application that actually has a lot of capabilities. So let's go back here to the UI. You also see that we have various scripts that we can use, a full tutorial on how this actually works and how we can deploy it out using Cloudflare. And then we can even view the metrics or various AI integrations. So if we wanted to have, for example, like an AI learning assistant directly on this site, rather than us having to handle all the API keys ourselves, we can do that directly with GenSpark, where we can access the GPT-5 models and it can handle the keys for us. For example, I can generate the key here, and then it can just be used directly in our application with all of the deployment and security handled, which I think is quite interesting. Again, not designed to replace a developer, but really to get something out extremely quickly and, more importantly, handle the deployment of the app, which is typically the tricky thing to do, especially with kind of vibe-coded applications. So that is the AI developer. Now let's go over to our AI designer. So the AI designer is pretty straightforward. You can create pretty much anything that you want. You can attach reference images. You can use an example. So like, see if we go to social media, maybe we like one of these templates, we can just click it and we can start working based off that directly, or we can just ask the AI to just generate pretty much whatever we want. So what I'm gonna do is just show you a few examples of some things that I've generated with this designer so you can see kind of what's possible. Okay, so here's a quick example where I just uploaded a bunch of images of myself kind of in Dubai, where I was like renting a car, going to the Palm, etc. And I told it, create a montage of these images for social media with AI edits and artifacts that have the caption of like, day in the UAE. And you can see that it's created one vertical for me. It's created kind of a square one. It's created like a thumbnail image, created another vertical one, all a little bit different, but it's even done things like Photoshop the Burj Khalifa in the background of this image where it's not originally in that image. And it's what, I don't know what's in the background there, but it's not Burj Khalifa. You can see it's selected kind of unique images rather than the same one over and over again. It's given me these cool kind of AI artifacts, like futuristic look, giving me the caption. And then if we scroll down and see how this actually worked, it was understanding the images that we uploaded and then also looking for a bunch of reference images for kind of like the AI artifacts to be able to generate this. Now, if I didn't like this for some reason, I can just click on it. I can do an AI edit. I can directly highlight something I want to change. I can add elements. I can remove the background. I can erase something. I can redraw. So for example, maybe we want to erase something. Let's try this and maybe let's like erase me here in the corner and see if it's able to do that. So let's go apply and see if it can just kind of pull me out of that image. And there we go. We can see that it just removed me and then it's filled in the background to make it look kind of natural. Let's like zoom this in a little bit maybe so we can see it a bit better. And you'll notice that it doesn't even look like anything was ever there and it was able to really easily remove me, which I think is a pretty cool feature, to be honest, that I haven't seen work that well in a lot of the other AIs. Let's just move this over a bit and kind of zoom in. And again, we could play with these images and do really anything that we want. Now, let me show you a quick other example of something I use the AI designer for. Okay, so here's a quick example of just loading up where I asked it to actually generate a 50% off banner for my dev launch resource vault. I didn't give it any reference images, and you can see that it was able to generate a bunch of kind of examples here with different themes. What I then did is I looked at this one, which I thought was kind of most on brand, and I told it, hey, I want to make it in the kind of this new color theme that matches the actual dev launch color theme. So you can see this is the new one it was able to create. And it did that by, if we can see the prompt here, please redesign as requested. And I had simply pressed on this, gone with the AI edit, uploaded a new reference image, which you can see right here, and said, use this as a color reference and kind of change it to be this like orangey kind of gray color theme, which it was able to achieve. And then for all the text elements, we could just directly reference them, which makes that pretty easy so that it's not going to get those incorrect. Overall, quite valuable. I'm not someone who needs a lot of design stuff, so I'm not the best to demo this particular feature, but I wanted to show you that it has all kinds of capabilities when it comes to image generation and design, because I know a lot of you find that interesting. Okay, so now we're moving on to the AI Sheet, which is a super cool feature that they have. To access it, you just go new, press on AI Sheets. You can see it's a new feature here. And what you're able to do is actually start using AI directly inside of kind of Google Sheets or Excel to create any kind of sheet that you want. So you can see that we just have a blank sheet here, but I also can just upload a sheet and have it loaded directly inside of this, or I can have it just generate something completely from scratch. So what I've had to do in the past is I've had to have a Google Sheet for like attendance tracking for my students in group calls. It was very annoying and difficult to create that sheet. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see if the AI can actually generate that automatically for me. I'll go through a few prompts and kind of bring you along, and let's see what the finished product looks like. So it's been a few minutes here. I started by just asking it to create a new sheet that can track the attendance of students during group calls. And then you'll see what it did is I had it actually just randomly generate some student data as well. We have all of the kind of information about the students' attendance percentages, how many calls they were absent for, present for. We have a call history summary, which isn't quite finished yet that I need to get it to complete. We have an attendance form, which allows me to enter the data and have it automatically added to the correct sheet. We have, let's go back here, the student roster where we list out all of the different students. And then we have the call log where all of this information gets actually tallied up and logged in that dashboard that you saw before. So overall, pretty cool. Now, just to show you kind of how this works, I can do something like make this look a lot nicer and add some graphs or something, okay? And let's see what it's able to do now inside of this sheet with all of the data that exists. Okay, so it's still in the process of doing this, but you can see that it started generating a few different charts for me inside of the dashboard. If we look at the student roster and the call log, okay, it doesn't look like anything has changed there, but at least in the dashboard, it's given us kind of this new information, and you can see that we have like kind of the nice styling, change some of the colors, etc., etc. So I'm not gonna wait for it to fully finish, but just trying to show you that it can do this. Obviously, the more specific you are, the better results you're gonna get. But overall, I think this is pretty cool, and it would have saved me a massive amount of time when I was trying to build a tool like this previously, doing it by hand manually. So with that said, now let's move on to look at the AI podcast feature, which is pretty unique. Okay, so to get here, you go new and then go to AI, where is it? AI pods over here. This allows you to generate a podcast about anything. It can be as specific or as vague as you want. You can give it the entire script. You can tell it to do research. You can tell it the voice, the style, etc. So I already generated one because it does take a few minutes to do this. So what I'm gonna do is show you that finished result that I've not yet listened to, and let's see what we actually get. Okay, so here is kind of the podcast view. We can see the script that was generated, and let me show you the original prompt. So what I said is create a super simple podcast in the style of Tech with Tim, where he answers questions about AI from a female guest. Have the guest ask questions related to the future of developers due to the increase in AI. And you can see that it did some research, looked up information about myself as well as AI, generated a GPT kind of thumbnail for us for the podcast, and then made the entire script and then had the voice for that. So let's see what this sounds like. Again, I've not yet listened to it. We'll just go back so that it's at the very beginning, and let's see what we get.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Tech with Tim. Today, I'm really excited to be joined by a special guest, Maya.
Hey.
She's a fantastic developer who's, deep in the trenches, building cool stuff. Welcome, Maya.
Hey, Tim. Happy to be here. And honestly, a little nervous about what we're talking about today.
Yeah, we're diving straight into the deep end. The big, scary question, is AI going to make developers obsolete?
Right.
Okay, so I think that's enough. I'm not going to listen to the whole thing and bore you, but overall, sounds pretty fluent and natural. I'm not sure if you'd really be able to even determine if that is AI or not, especially kind of based on what it's saying. It sounds like not really robotic. It has the ums, the ahs, slowing kind of the cadence down. So pretty cool. And then if I want, of course, I can export the audio by just pressing that button, and I can save that directly in the AI drive, which I've done right here, and then reference it or use it later. Now, in terms of other features here in GenSpark, you can do video generation, fact checking, deep research, photo genius, clip genius. There's all kinds of stuff that it has. And even just the general super agent itself is extremely useful. And I think with that said, I'm going to wrap up the video here. Overall, this platform is very impressive. The number one thing for me is that everything is in one place. Having that AI drive component really does make it a lot easier and give you a lot of efficiency and productivity benefits, which is why I'm even showing you this tool. Sure, all of this other stuff is interesting. How much of it are you going to use? That's up to you. But generally, just saving all of your files, having all of the context, and having all of the tools you would ever need in a single place gives you a massive benefit because now you don't need to switch between these different tools. And the more you use one tool, the better it gets at understanding your life, your situation, your business, your code. So you just naturally end up getting better responses over time. And that kind of compounds, which is why I like to stick with one specific platform. Even if you just quickly look here, you can see all of the different tasks that I was running, right, just in the past few days using GenSpark because it is genuinely very, very good. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.